For the next several months, we're going to be figuring out who Mike Macdonald wants to be as a team, right? We know what he looked like in year one, but we know also that he didn't have the offense he wants. We know that he didn't have the exact team he wants, and now you get a full offseason as head coach to put some of those pieces together. Why we're watching some of these games, you felt probably validating for some of his beliefs.
Mike got to be watching these games and thinking, this is playoff football. And he's looking at the teams that are in it and looking at the way they are attacking defenses. And it's not as simple as just your rush attempts. All right, the top 10 teams in the league when it comes to rush attempts. Tampa Bay at 10, playoff team. Atlanta, Indianapolis, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Washington, Detroit, Baltimore, Philly.
So all but two, basically.
All but two teams when it comes to top 10 rushing attempts are playoff teams. And we're looking at, and a perfect example are the Washington Commanders. They didn't have a lot of success running the football, but their coordinator knew we have to be a threat on the ground. Because what is that going to do? That is going to allow my rookie quarterback to see things on the back end. It's going to make linebackers bite up. It's going to make safeties flow. The run game has the biggest influence in football because it changes the defense's integrity. When you're supposed to read step and then drop, now your read step is a bit slower and your drop is a bit slower because you're in limbo. And we're watching these teams run the football. You got the Commanders running 33 times. Baltimore ran it 50 times. I swear to goodness, if they did not run that thing at least 35 times, I was going to be mad for Lamar and Derrick Henry. But there's no way you're going to have King Henry back there. You're not going to run the football. Josh Allen and them ran it 44 times. And this isn't a knock on Grubb. I still think that he didn't have the horses to do what some of these teams are doing. But I think maybe it's just the approach and the illusion of running the football is what Mike was looking for. The Hawks were 29th in the league when it comes to rushing attempts, 22.5. Below them, you got Vegas, Cincinnati, the Jets. No playoff teams. Above them, you got Cleveland, Carolina, Jacksonville, Giants, Dallas, Chicago. Finally, Houston is the first playoff team you're gonna see when it comes to rushing attempts at 22. This is just what it is. Time of possession is everything. If you have the football, you control the game. How do you do that? High percentage plays. The highest percentage play in football, and will always be, is the run. Because you can get just a slight crease and gain 3 to 4 yards, and 2nd and 7 and 2nd and 6 looks great. When you throw the football, a lot of things have to go right. So if I'm Mike Macdonald, I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm validated, even though he was already validated in his mind. There's no way he's not looking at data, situations, and making a educated decision to let Grubb go because of what he's seen and what he believes in. So, yeah, if I'm Mike Macdonald, I'm looking at all these teams and how they ran that thing. Every team that won ran the ball at least 30 times. At least every 2 or 3 of the teams that lost ran it like 18 to 19 times. I mean, it's simple. And it's bigger than just that, but that's a great place to start.
Do you see, I don't want to say an irony, but I'll say it anyway, an irony in the way that meaning everyone's, conversations about football just swing back and forth all the time? Like, for instance, in let's say like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, like around that time, Kansas City starts taking off. Sean McVay's Rams start taking off with 11 personnel, and the conversation becomes passing is just a more efficient offense. We start seeing more offenses dropping 30 points per game than ever before. You start seeing quarterbacks doing things, not that we've never seen before, but you just see an emergence of a lot of good young quarterbacks all at once. And the conversation becomes, not only do running backs not matter, but you can find running back value easily, replace those running backs, don't pay running backs. And then you also start seeing conversations about, why are you running the ball? And the entire, not the downfall of Pete Carroll, which I think actually probably started the fracture with this team with Super Bowl 49. But the major critique of Pete Carroll was, you have Russell Wilson, you have good receivers. Why are you running the ball and so stubborn with running the ball? And now we see that works for so many teams in the postseason. And I do want to add a caveat that the Seahawks never had a great offensive line. It's not like just by being stubborn with running the ball, they could have suddenly become the Eagles. That's not what I'm saying. There are levels and layers to the criticism of, the Seahawks offense. But what changed in the NFL to where suddenly we're all talking about the importance of a more old school style of offense?
When McVay entered the league, 2017? All right, even in 2017, they were 11th when it comes to rush attempts. So, again, rushing can be lost in this whole thing because what attracts the eye are the big plays, and the bigger plays usually come in the pass game. But here's what's going on. The defense has had to adjust. The defense adjusts to the offense. We control this whole game, right? If we run out in 11 personnel, you got to match up. We run out in 10 personnel, you got to match up. If we run out with all receivers, you have to match up to us. So you have these coordinators that are infatuated with spraying the ball out, getting into shotgun, and throwing the football. So defenses have to draft and acquire players to match up with your opposition. It's almost like when the Spurs were running the division and the Lakers, we could not beat the Spurs. They were just whooping. It's like, what is it? It was their personnel. So what do? We draft guys to kind of fit their personnel, a little half-court offense type deal. That's what happened in the NFL. So now there's a shift going on. Now coordinators are seeing that linebacker's only 215. I mean, he can tackle, but he's not the old school Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher that was there that could take on these guards in a violent type of way. So now let's run the football. So it's always a back and forth that's going to happen in the league, and it's happening now. But we're also seeing just the creativity when it comes to running the football really emerge. Like I was watching the Baltimore Ravens. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you're going to say all they're doing is handing it off to Derrick Henry. He's getting downhill, which he is. They're doing a great job. But, man, there was direct snaps. There were fullbacks in motion. There were 6 linemen out there. There were tosses. There were QBs, the QB holding the end. There were RPOs off of that. It's the creativity in the run game that can manipulate the smaller guys on that second level, and we decide to run. Now you're going. So how is the defense going to adjust? It's almost like you got to have like a second linebacker crew, right? These are the big boys. These are the smaller guys. And a lot of teams are running nickel. So nickel means that you have another DB out there, which the Seahawks did a lot of times too, and you bring them down in the box, and you're asking this 195 guy to play like he's 225. So there's mismatches going on. And it's fun to watch. And what are the defenses going to do? Can't wait to see what the next 5 years look like because things are constantly changing.